Welcome back to another edition of Free Money NFL Week 4 edition. We had another winning week last week on the betting side of things. Fantasy-wise, we're hoping to have a bounce-back week, but I'm very confident in my picks. I guarantee we can do that. Let's get right into it. Start Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow looks like the real deal for this first couple weeks of the season. Week 3 was his second week scoring 20-plus points. Burrow also ranks second in the league in pass attempts, 47 per game. He threw 67 times in Week 2. He throws a lot because the Bengals are always trailing games with their bad defense. On top of that, he's got some nice pieces to throw to. He's got Joe Mixon. He's got A.J. Green. He's got Tyler Boyd. So he's got some guys he can get the ball to and push the ball downfield. On top of that, he is facing a Jaguars defense that has been brutal against quarterbacks, allowing a league-high 118.6 passer rating and nearly 23 fantasy points per game. Burrow is going to be a great option to start this week. Start DK Metcalf. Metcalf has been an absolute stat sheet stuffer this season. He's in a great spot to continue that success as the Seahawks travel down to South Beach to face a very weak Miami defense. After 3 weeks, the Dolphins have allowed an average of 21.1 fantasy points to receivers who line up out wide. Chris Carson is out, and so they're going to be throwing the ball a lot more. Russell Wilson is one of the best deep ball QBs in the NFL, and Metcalf is his best deep ball receiver. I like Metcalf a lot this week. I know he had the gap at the goal line last week, but he's going to put up some numbers, and I suspect he'll score again this week. Start Devontae Parker. Now, Devontae Parker has posted 5 catches in back-to-back games. He hasn't been 100% yet this season, and he's had an extra 3 days to heal for this matchup against the Seahawks. I like this matchup a lot as well because the Seahawks defense is not very, very good. And I've documented on the past couple weeks of free money, but they've allowed an average of 11.3 catches and 179 yards, as well as a league-high 31.3 fantasy points to receivers lined out wide. That's where Parker has run 82% of his routes this season. Along with that, Ryan Fitzpatrick is getting hot. In his past 2 weeks, he has a QBR of 113. So that's pretty good. Hot quarterback, his best receiver, who's finally healthy, against a weak defense, and is a recipe for success. Start Devontae Parker. Start James Robinson. He's been an absolute steal in drafts or off the waiver wire, so if you're picking him up for daily fantasy, he should probably be pretty cheap. He's averaging 18 touches and over 20 fantasy points per game this season, and he's in a great spot to continue. The Jaguars are going to face the Bengals. The Bengals defense has been horrible, and they have struggled against the run. They're allowing an average of 155.3 rushing yards and the 5th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Cincinnati has also allowed the most running back yards after first contact, which means they are a sloppy, tackling defense. I like James Robinson here. This is a sleeper pick for this week. Finally, start Mike Davis. Mike Davis looked pretty good in his first game, and he had some big shoes to fill, replacing the injured Christian McCaffrey. He played 31 snaps and handled 21 touches, and saw 9 targets passing-wise. Now, he's not the same as Christian McCaffrey, but the offense is running a lot like it did with Christian McCaffrey, which bodes well for Davis, who's going to get a lot of these swing passes and screen passes and short dump-offs. Teddy Bridgewater ranks tied for 6th among quarterbacks in targeting running backs. So that's pretty good for him. And he's facing a Cardinals defense that allowed the 3rd most receiving yards and nearly 29 points per game to opposing running backs. So Mike Davis, he's got a pretty high floor this week. I like him a lot. All right, on to the betting side of things. Take Tampa Bay over the Chargers. Tampa Bay's favored by 7. Now, we've picked in the past 2 weeks, and we're rolling with them again because they just keep making us money. Here's why I like number 1. Tampa Bay's offense is settling into a groove, and Tom Brady should be comfortable this week. On defense, the Chargers are missing Derwin James and Mark Ingram. Those are the 2 best guys on the defensive side of the ball. And in Tom Brady's last 8 games versus rookies, he's 8-0 with a touchdown to interception ratio of 17-3. On top of that, he has a passer rating of 107.2. He's very comfortable when he's facing a rookie quarterback. The rookie quarterback on the other side is Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's shown some flashes of being a pretty good quarterback, but he's struggled in the red zone, and he had a very soft matchup last week against Carolina, and he didn't play all that well. This week, he is facing a great Buccaneers defense. Buccaneers defense has been the reason they're winning. I know the offense gets all the credit. The defense has been the story. They sit in first place in the NFL, expected points allowed per play. In other words, they've been the best defense in the league for the first 3 weeks of the season. The Buccaneers also have several young players in the secondary who are playing really well, and according to Pro Football Focus, both Vita Vea and Shaquille Barrett have pass rush win rates over 20% early in the year. That's very good. Top of that, the linebacking core is going to make life miserable for Justin Herbert. Levante David remains one of the game's best off-ball linebackers, and he's earned a 90.6 coverage grade for the first 3 weeks, according to Pro Football Focus. So I like the Bucs a lot. Keep riding them. They're going to win this week. Next, take the Bears over the Colts. Now, I know the Bears haven't looked good the first 3 weeks. They might be the worst 3-0 team in the NFL, but I would rather be the worst 3-0 team than the best 0-3 team. And the Bears offense has a new identity this week with Nick Foles making his first start. He came in last week and the offense completely changed. He was able to push the ball downfield. He threw for 188 yards in the fourth quarter, and he had 5 passes that should have been caught for touchdowns. Only got credit for 3 of them, but he sparked that comeback. And this week, he'll be taking first team reps for the whole week. His numbers against the Colts have also been excellent over the course of his career. In his career against the Colts, he's averaging 283 yards per game, has a TD to interception ratio of 5-2, and a pass rating of 98.4. He's been good against Indy. Along with that, the Colts, they have played some soft teams. You don't really know what to think of. They lost to a horrible Jaguars team. The 2 wins were both against 0-3 teams. So, against this Bears defense, they can get to the quarterback. Phillip Rivers can't move around too much. I think he's going to have some turnovers, and the Bears are number 2 in the league in getting opposing offenses off the field on third down. I like the Bears at home, getting 2 points in this one. Take the Bears. Finally, take the Bills over the Raiders. The Bills will travel to Las Vegas this week, and Vegas is where the Raiders pulled off an upset over the Saints. I think the only reason they pulled off that upset is because the Saints are not very good. Because the Raiders came back down to earth and promptly got smacked by the Patriots last week, and Derek Carr returned to being the regular old Derek Carr. Josh Allen has clearly taken a massive step forward, and Buffalo just beat a very good Rams team. Allen should have no problem carving up the struggling Raiders defense. The Bills are number 2 in passing in the NFL this year. To go along with that, they have a solid defense, and Raiders are missing Bryan Edwards, Henry Ruggs, Terrell Williams. All out against a very stout Bills defense. Vegas gave up 250 rushing yards and 6.6 yards per carry to New England last week, so Devin Singletary should have a lot of success here as well for the Bills. Lay the points with Buffalo and take them to win. There you have it. That is Week 4 edition of Free Money. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel if you have been enjoying some success or you just like the fantasy advice. Enjoy your football Sunday this week. We will see you again next weekend.